gentlemen, and welcome here as we get set for our 9th race of the season for the NNSCRA Hersheys Cup Series non-charter series. We are here beginning the Kansas race weekend, and it'll be 27 laps of racing here today. Obviously, drivers trying to find victory lane to try and make their way up towards the top 5 in the point standings, as top 5 in the points will be getting the charters next season of the chartered rides that finish 31st through 35th in the standings at the completion of season 4. But also, these drivers are going to try and fight their way up into the top 7 of today's finishing results, so they can not only take part in today's non-charter event, but take part in the Hersheys Cup Series main event in a couple of days. On the pole position for today's race is going to be none other than Noah Cars. It's an all-Dodge Dart front row. Noah Cars looking for his first victory in the Hersheys Cup Series since Season 1, when he took part in the chase for the championship. Alongside of him, J Richardson went to victory lane last year in the Hersheys Cup Series, made the chase last year when he was in the FedEx Toyota Camry out of Joe Gibbs Racing. He's going to line up alongside here. Both these drivers trying to find victory lane. Now, this technically goes down as a win for these drivers, even though it's in a non-charter series, not in a charter series, but it's still technically a win. So let's go down trackside, get those most famous words in motorsports to get them started.
Drivers, start your engines!
As there is the command to fire them up. Point standings coming into this race. Why don't we give you what the top 5 look like as far as the drivers currently in the positions of 1st through 5th. They would be Caleb Farrell, who's now taken over the points lead after what went down last week at Talladega Superspeedway. He is now 7 points ahead of Kev Shearer, who dropped to 2nd. DJ Curtis is now up to 3rd in points. He's actually tied for 3rd with Seth Cole. They are 18 points back each. And right now, 5th in the standings belongs to David Culpepper. He is 23 points out of the points lead. Drivers that are close, they're 6th through 8 or through 10th in the point stands. Quentin Moore, Daniel Gilbert, that we see is rolling off from 5th today. Stephen Pollard III rolling off from 3rd place today, as well as Chloe Ericsson and Alex Gray. That is the top 10 coming into today's race in the point standings. Kansas, one of those tracks that's not exactly very wide. You see right here, there's like 3 grooves, but one thing I remember from last season when we were here is these drivers, they'll race 3 wide, they'll race double wide. They just don't give each other a heck of a lot of room in the corners, and that's where a lot of the trouble breaks out. We'll see what happens, what kind of racing we'll have here today. 27 laps today, and the green flag is out. Noah Cars gets us underway at Kansas. Already 3 wide further back, Ryan George getting moved up to the high line. And Noah Cars is going to try and take the race lead, but right now that outside line's also formulated up pretty well with Richardson, Minnick, Daniel Gilbert. And now it's through 3 and 4 that inside line's going to kick in and bite Cars to the lead, but is he going to lead the first lap? Pollard says no! Stephen Pollard III will lead the first lap here at Kansas. And they're 3 wide again. That's Daniel Gilbert, Carson Gum, J Richardson, and Noah Cars gets spun right in front of Jonathan Zoerlein, and that's going to be a caution, a big wreck, and they're all piling in. One car is upside down. That's Austin LaPlante. And I have a feeling there were very few cars behind that wreck that didn't get involved in some way. There is Chloe Ericsson, Jordan Lopez, N Guenther, LaPlante, we mentioned upside down. Pole sitter Noah Cars involved. Becca Tellier might have made it through. Kev Shearer, DJ Curtis, Caleb Farrell, that's your top 3 in the point standings right there. They might have gotten through it. Zachary Stultz did not, our Bristol Dirt winner. He's got some rear end damage, front end damage on the Ryan George machine. And that's going to put us under yellow for the first time here today. You knew it was just a matter of time. And they just got wadded up there when they were in a 3 wide situation coming out of turn 2. And the track just blocks up, nowhere for anyone to go. Hard to get an official tally of how many drivers were indeed involved. We'll try and document as many as possible, as we'll now jump back and look at a replay of what happened. SP3 leads the way here at the completion of lap 3 under our first caution of the day. Just because of how big this wreck was and how many drivers were involved, we're going to go to our helicopter view. You see right there, Daniel Gilbert gets a good run. I don't think he causes it. See the black car and the blue car? That is James Richardson on the high side of Carson Gum. And they might have made some contact, and that sent Carson Gum up the hill. And Noah Cars tried cutting his exit to the bottom off of 2, and Noah Cars was there. There's Zoerlein involved, Guenther, Lopez, Zachary Stultz, Chris Dollerton, Matt McIntire, Chloe Ericsson, Ryan George, Phil Parker, Elijah Gilbert, LaPlante. Becca Tellier was involved. There you see LaPlante getting flipped over. I think that was courtesy maybe of J Cittadino. Vernio on the high side along with Curtis and Farrell. So I would say overall of drivers getting even minimal damage, we had maybe 10 to 15 cars involved in this one. I mean, you saw there the track just blockading up and drivers coming out of turn 2 at full speed, not able to get woed up in time. And that's a tough break for a number of drivers very early on, just starting this race, and they may find themselves back behind the wall, and we're not even halfway through this non-charter race. 1 to green has been indicated due to the Dodge Charger pace car's lights going out. So we'll go back green on lap 7 of 27. Again, there's 21 laps to go in today's event, but a number of drivers will not be making it to this green flag, including Jonathan Zoerlein, Chloe Ericsson, Nick Guenther, Jordan Lopez, and Austin LaPlante. So tough break for them. We've also got some damaged cars near the rear of the field, such as Ryan George and Noah Cars, the pole sitter. Becca Tellier, a bit of a question mark there. She's going to be rolling off near the rear of the field. So if this thing, and I'm saying this tentatively, if this thing goes into a long green flag run, I would think maybe 20 laps would cause possible concern for these leaders that they may end up catching up to those damaged goods at the back of the pack, and we could have slower traffic come into play in the finish of this one. As the green flag's back out, it's Pollard, Cole Deaver, Daniel Gilbert, Chelsea Bowles, Carson Gum, Alex Gray, and then Angel Navarro, Paul Minnick, Caitlin Tsang, and Quentin Moore. That was your top 10. But it may not be your top 10 when we go back here to the start-finish line, because Daniel Gilbert, a man on a mission, trying to get to the front, and I don't know why. Oh, I was going to say, I don't know why I jumped to the pace car. I thought I had the camera on Cole Deaver, and I had it on Stephen Pollard III. That was my bad. Whoa! Battle there for 4th. Carson Gum to the inside of Chelsea Bowles. Here comes Caitlin Tsang. Caitlin Tsang getting her first Hersheys Cup Series main event win before she gets a charter or a non-charter win, and before she got a Pizza Hut X Series win. But now she's trying to fight her way up here towards the front. Paul Minnick going to follow her. So Tsang moves into 5th. Minnick moves the 6th car into 6th. Carson Gum steadily losing spots. Quentin Moore now going to go by. That'll be for 7th place. Wild, Cole Deaver all over the back bumper of SP3, and here's Caitlin Tsang driving it to the inside of Daniel Gilbert. Makes it work. Paul Minnick going to follow again. Caitlin Tsang's making the holes, and Paul Minnick fills them up. He wasn't able to make the move there for 4th place that time on Gilbert, and here's the battle for the lead. Cole Deaver peeks to the inside on Stephen Pollard III, trying to take that position. Cole Deaver coming into today's race. Is 18th in the point standings. So he's definitely looking for a good points run today to get back into the top 10. But he's about to lose the race lead. Caitlin Tsang to the point. Now we ain't on dirt, but Caitlin Tsang, I think that win at Eldora a few weeks ago has definitely upped her confidence. Caitlin Tsang, the first non-charter car to go to victory lane in a chartered series race this season. And you look at her success in the non-charter series so far this year, and it doesn't quite match up. 20th in the point stands is where she comes into today's race. So I think they're realizing, hey, we've got the program. We were able to win against a bunch of chartered race cars. Why the heck can't we go out there and win against non-chartered cars? C Tsang out in front, showing the way. Top four have broken away from everybody else. Tsang, Cole Deaver, C Pollard III, and Daniel Gilbert. Then you got to go back. Whoop, on camera view. Then you got to go back to 5th place. The battle going on between Quentin Moore and Paul Minnick, that Dodge Dart and Buick. And then Carson Gum hanging on to 7th, but not for long. Here comes Daniel Olson to the bottom. Now, the reason this battle is so important is because this is for the final transfer spot into the main event. 1st through 7th will fill spots 36 through 42 in the starting order of the Hersheys Cup Series charter race. And now we got more players into here. J Richardson and Henry Nova now up here in this mix as well. They want to make it into the main event. Henry Nova, former winner this season in the non-charter series. Nova trying to get to the inside of Daniel Olson. He will do so. So this is the battle for that final transfer spot into the main event. Technically the battle for 42nd in the main event, if you think about it. Nova will have the preferred line, the inside line, going here into 1. He easily takes that position. Meanwhile, the battle is on for 2nd. Daniel Gilbert to the inside of C Pollard III. Cole Deaver looking to see which line moves. And as they battle amongst themselves for 2nd place, that's actually allowing C Tsang to be able to scamper away with the lead. Last time by, she had a half a second over 2nd place, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's grown. Oh wow, it grew another full half second. C Tsang trying to do exactly what she did back at the Midsummer Classic at Eldora. Run away with the lead, and she's doing it right now. Deaver now moving into 2nd place. Now you're probably wondering, looking at these drivers 2nd through 4th, why are they battling like this? I mean, why are they not trying to get up there and work together to be able to reel in C Tsang for the race lead? Well, you got to think about as well, these drivers are all really battling for points, as many points as they can possibly get. Daniel Gilbert comes into this race in the, 7th position in the points. Pollard comes into this race in 8th. Cole Deaver comes in this race in 15th. They're all trying to get as many points as possible to get themselves up into the top 5 in the point standings. This isn't one of those series where you win, you get into the chase, because there is no chase for the championship in the non-charter series. It's basically based off of overall points. Obviously, you know, there will be a Hersheys Cup Series non-charter series champion, but that's not really the main goal of these drivers. Like I said, the main goal of these drivers is to finish in the top 5 in the point standings at the completion of this year, so that way they will be a chartered ride in the Hersheys Cup Series main events next season and not have to take part in these non-chartered qualifying races. Well, if this were the battle for the lead, it'd be a heck of a battle, but this is actually the battle for 2nd. It is still C Tsang out in front. There is Ryan George and DJ Curtis. They are just now leaving turn 4. C Tsang's on the back straightaway, and there's a little more than 9 laps to go. It's about 9.5 laps to go, make it about 9.25 laps to go. Don't know necessarily if C Tsang is going to catch up to those drivers down the tail end of the lead lap. So C Tsang might be in really good shape right now. Last thing she wants to see now would be a caution flag, because she's got to make just 9 more circuits around, and she's enjoying a very comfortable 1.4, almost technically 1.5 second advantage between herself and the current 2nd place driver, Cole Deaver. Let's go back and see if that battle for that 7th spot is heated up at all. Nope, 7th place, firmly in control of it right now is Henry Nova. The car that would try and run him down to get the spot would be Kev Shearer, who is currently in the 8th position. Kev Shearer actually, I think, restarted this race mired way back in the field, somewhere like 34th, 35th, I think. Boy, he fought his way up here through the field awfully nicely. Kev Shearer 2nd in the point standings. So having, you know, whether he doesn't make it into the main event or not, kind of a moot point. Good run for him here today, and the guy that he's been battling the last couple of weeks with for the points lead, Caleb Farrell, not having the best of runs, not appearing inside the top 10. He is scored right now in the 31st position. So it looks like Kev Shearer, with this run, he would take the points lead back heading into next week. And don't look now, Kev Shearer may make the main event. They're battling up here. Quentin Moore in 5th, Nova in 6th, and Minnick in 7th now, falling back into that final transfer spot. They are getting slowly but surely reeled in by Kev Shearer. So Kev Shearer may have something to say about who's going to make it into the main event before this thing is all said and done. Whoa! I don't know if that's called side draft or not, but that was awfully sketchy. While second place changes hands, Stephen Pollard III past Cole Deaver, and that may be the battle that these drivers are going to have to just be content running with, because they are continuing to still lose ground to Caitlin Tsang. So I think second place is basically going to be the best battle here at the closing stages of this race. Deaver now going to go to the inside on Stephen Pollard III. Look at Daniel Gilbert, able to get back to the throttle through the middle of the corner. Gets a heck of a run off of 2, and he might try and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. DJ Curtis, Ryan George at the line now. Oh boy, it's 4 laps to go. Maybe, just maybe, Caitlin Tsang is going to have to deal with those 2 drivers. Kind of surprised DJ Curtis is off the pace. Didn't look like he got a whole lot of damage from our first and only caution. But apparently there was more than met the eye, maybe in terms of cosmetic damage. That's a tough break for DJ. Came in tied for 3rd in the point stand, so it's not going to be a good points day for the 55. He's going to finish better than his 2 teammates, though. N Guenther R, also the plant, already out of the race. So not exactly a great day here for WG Motorsports as a whole, as there's 3 laps to go here at Kansas. Caitlin Tsang, 2 weeks ago at Eldora, made it into the Mud Summer Classic. Won her first qualifying race. I think she finished 5th in the second qualifying race, and then dominated the main event. Picked up her first charter win before her first non-charter win. But it looks like she's going to be able to complete the charter-non-charter sweep so far this season if she can hang on for 2 more laps. Kev Shearer has now moved up into the 6th position. Paul Minnick now back into 7th. And Quentin Moore right now on the verge of missing the main event if he doesn't pass that 6th car before this lap is completed. White flag will be displayed this time for Caitlin Tsang. She moves to the outside line on Ryan George, gets into the wall. She saves it and just got taken out by Ryan George. What the heck? She keeps it going, but she's going to lose the lead. Cole Deaver is going to go to the race lead. Caution's out, doesn't matter. We're racing back to the checkers. Caitlin Tsang just got flat out taken out of the lead by Ryan George. And Cole Deaver, after all that, is going to win here today at Kansas. What the heck was that? Caitlin Tsang, despite all that, is going to cross the line in 8th, but she won't transfer into the main event. And she was en route to winning that race. I don't know what Ryan George was doing. She went to the high side, he moved up and blocked her. They made contact, and then Ryan George just drove straight up the track into her. I don't know about that, but I think NNSCRA officials are going to have to do something about that happening. Took action when a lapped car and slower car and Daniel Olson lapaged the field back in the charter race at Las Vegas, and I think that there's going to be some penalty headed in the direction of that 91 car. Completely uncalled for. I guess the good news in all that is Caitlin Tsang was able to finish the race in the top 10, but when you think of what could have been, and more than likely what should have been, a victory for Caitlin Tsang here today. Wow. Oh, now we got tempers flaring here. Zachary Stultz got spun around on pit road. And I would not blame Caitlin Tsang one bit if she went after that 91. She is coming to pit road now. Wow. No point going back looking at a replay. It was pretty self-explanatory if you ask me. So Cole Deaver, after all that, inherits. He basically was gifted the win here today at Kansas. It's his first win of the season. Daniel Gilbert second, Nova third, Shearer in fourth, Pollard fifth, Paul Minnick and Quentin Moore finishing the top 7. They'll make it into the main event. Caitlin Tsang will finish in 8th, Daniel Olson 9th, and 10th place will be Alex Miller. Wow. Kev Shearer will more than likely take over the points lead again, heading into next week here in the non-charter series. Look on down through the remainder of the finishing results. Ryan George finishing a lap down, and he's definitely going to be in the news this week, isn't he? Out of the race were the cars of Jonathan Zoerlein, Chloe Ericsson, N Guenther, Jordan Lopez, and Austin LaPlante. Tough break for them. And a number of drivers you see here near the rear of the finishing results were involved in one way or another in that incident. Our only caution of the day back on lap 2. Elijah Gilbert on down, basically. Cars, Stultz, McIntire, Farrell, Dollerton all got damage in that wreck one way or another. And that's what caused them to have such poor finishes here today. So Cole Deaver wins today's race officially. I mean, take nothing away from him. He was in the right place at the right time, and circumstances worked out for him to get the win. So Cole Deaver, officially the winner of this race. And it's his first win of the season, and we'll have to see where this moves him in the point standings now. More than likely, it'll put him up at least inside the top 10 in the points, and we'll see if he can follow that up next week. Well, that's going to do it here for today's race at Kansas. We have the Pizza Hut X Series and the Hershey's Cup Series main event coming up next to complete this weekend. Oh boy, what a start to the week, huh? Good gravy. Anyway, thanks everyone for tuning in to today's race. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to become part of the crew. Today we've shown your full finisher results, and we are now going to show you your point standings heading into next week. So, we'll see you for the Pizza Hut X Series race here tomorrow as we continue on our race weekend here at Kansas, as you've been watching a production of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best.